you from the Yard Dawgs Podcast studio. A show for the fans, by the fans. Talking all things Cleveland Browns. From our mic to your ears. With your hosts, Jason Hand, Mikey P, and Ian Cold Train Coldiron.
Are you ready for some football?
We're ready for some football, baby.
Yes, and you are now in the yard. Of course, welcome to the Yard Dawgs Podcast, a show for the fans, by the fans. This is season 4, episode 140. I'm your host, Mikey P. The Yard Dawgs Podcast is brought to you by Network 216. Check out our Ohio sports content. Just make sure you subscribe to our Network 216 YouTube channel. And then, of course, joining me tonight, the one, the only, my co-host, Cold Train. How we doing tonight, buddy?
Not too bad, man. Not too bad. Not letting the Browns take my mood this week.
And that's good. That's good. That's good. Before we get into the Browns, we always like to start it off with a little bit of an icebreaker here. And we didn't go live last week after the Broncos loss, so we'll break down the Broncos and the Rams game this week as we get into the Jaguars game. But first, kicking it off with our icebreaker tonight. I'm a college football fan, Coltrane. I know you are a college football fan. Did the College Football Playoff Committee, with the 4-team playoff this year, did they get it right to you? And if not, who do you think the first should have been?
Well, I don't think they get it right anytime. I mean, it's just a horrible, 4 teams out of that many college teams. Dude. I don't know. I want the new format right away.
Yeah, what does it go? It goes to 12 next year.
Yeah, but I just, I don't know, man. I think Florida State went undefeated. They kind of got a shaft a little bit, but it's like they've done it before where like TCU obviously last year, I think they were a little spooked by that. But, I don't know. I'm not going to really debate like who should be in or who should be out. Like obviously I'm a Buckeyes fan. So like I was hoping we'd squeeze in. I mean, who wouldn't if you're not, saying that as your fan base, then you're crazy. But I just expected like, I don't know. It's hard. I don't think they ever get it right any year, and just in my, I guess I'll keep it general. Like, I don't think they get it right any year. And that's why I am a huge fan of the setup next year, because I just, I don't like, how like some teams, like you play good all season. You take a bad loss, like a Michigan team, and like, especially too, how the Big Ten set up, like, set it up to where like the top 2 teams play. Like, aren't they doing that next year finally? Is that true or no?
Yeah. So this time next year, you would have had Ohio State, Michigan rematching basically.
Yeah.
In the Big Ten championship.
That's what everyone wants to see, man. But anyways, I'll end it with this. Can't wait to see the playoffs. Glad Bama got in because they're gonna wipe the floor with Michigan, dude. It's not even gonna be freaking pretty, bro. And again, I'm not a bandwagon fan, but of course I'll be rooting for Bama. Not like, put a little cheese on it, but I'm not like a diehard Bama fan here. I'm not gonna lie to y'all. But yeah, man, I want to see. I don't think Michigan. Even after them beating Ohio State, I don't think they're the team to beat this year. I refuse to believe that until I have proven otherwise. I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, I mean, I see what they were doing. At the end of the day, they always talk about, like, is it about the results or is it about who they feel are the 4 best teams? And if you looked at it all season long, like if you thought, hey, I'm going to pick the 4 best teams, the 4 best teams were probably Ohio State, Michigan, Georgia, and Alabama all year long. A couple of them had 1 loss. Is Washington the best team? No. You can't put Texas out, obviously, because they beat Alabama early in the season. Do I think Texas would beat Alabama by 2 scores now when they played them? Probably not. It's going to be a much closer game. But I'll be glad next year when it goes to a 12 team playoff. There'll be less of the arguing. You'll have good teams in there. I also think this will create a little more parity because you'll have upsets that may occur, and you may not have, may not always be the top seed that wins the tournament. Doesn't happen in basketball, so be interesting to see what happens next year. And then also, Drew in Brick City just said, does Oregon join the Big Ten next year? Yes, they do. You have the Big Ten is going to look totally different next year, and it's going to have Oregon, Washington, USC, UCLA are joining it. If you think about it, if you looked at it this year, there's 2 SEC schools in the tournament this year, and there's 2 Big Ten schools if you count Washington as a Big Ten school now. So you got Michigan, Washington, and Texas is in the SEC next year. So I think everything next year looks different. The only thing I will say you could potentially see teams have themselves pretty much locked into the 12-team playoff. They get into their championship game. They may not show everything. That could happen. But at the end of the day, did they get it right? I don't know. That'll show on the field. I think Florida State has an opportunity. If they have a gripe, they get to play Georgia. They should handle their business and try to beat them, and then they can complain some more. But if they don't show up and Georgia just handily beats them, then then they don't, that argument that they had that they should be in kind of loses steam. Next up, homage. It's Christmas time. It's December 5th. You still got time to order stuff. Plenty of time on the calendar. Place an order with Homage. The Yard Dawgs Podcast and Network 216 are proud partners with Homage, the apparel company. You haven't tried them yet? You're missing out. Homage is always coming out with on-point, cutting-edge sports apparel. Showing support for your team doesn't have to cost an arm and a leg. As a bonus, you will get a special discount using our link to shop at Homage. Just remember to support the show and do it in style by shopping for all your favorite sports team gear at Homage. Find the link on our website, or you can, of course, find our Homage links on our Twitter page at Yard Dawgs Pod or at Network 216. And don't forget to shop Homage today. And we're always sharing Homage links for you guys to use. They've come out with some new Browns Tecmo t-shirts in the last couple months. They got the new black starter jacket, which I believe you ordered already, if I'm not mistaken, Coltrane. Is that correct?
I mean, I cannot reveal. I asked my wife, and let's just say I let her know, like it said literally on the website, that they're going fast. They only had a few left. So let's just say I might have witnessed Sarah on her phone ordering that, but I also maybe didn't because it's Christmas, and I won't say if I did or I didn't. But okay. They are, I don't know if they sold out, but I mean, at the time that we might have ordered, obviously they were going fast, man. I got that black one. Cribbs actually was wearing it in a couple of his posts on Twitter, so I'm sure people have seen it, like people wearing it out as well, including Browns alumni. So
it's a very sharp, nice looking jacket if you haven't seen. Drew in Brick City, I saw your comment about I hope they separate Michigan and OSU. Next year in the Big Ten, there is no more divisions. It's just the Big Ten Conference. They are going away from the East, West, North, South divisions. ACC did away with it this year, and then the Big Ten's doing away with it next year. And I think the SEC is also following suit, if I'm not mistaken. I think there's only going to be one conference left anymore that has the divisions. So that's a big change coming to college football. Brian Music has a big question. We'll get into this, but will the Browns start a rookie this week or their Super Bowl MVP game manager? Ooh. What do you think on that, Coltrane? Who do you think the Browns should start this week? Should they start Joe Flacco or should they go back to DTR?
Immediately, I will say Flacco, only because I was shocked at just how well the dude was moving that ball down the field. I was very shocked, man. I'm not giving him the pick, dude. I'm not one of them guys. I'm not putting that on him. He literally came off his couch, bro. It's Flacco. He's gonna throw a pick or two. If you know how Flacco plays, you know he loves to bomb that bitch. So it's like, regardless, Flacco is, the guy to manage the game, if you will. I love DTR. Love the idea of DTR. But honestly, as just a Browns fan in general, I think a couple people said this. I would not mind watching this offense. We've never had a pocket passer this good. And it's just, it's fun to watch. It's a completely different type of offense that I'm used to seeing, especially the way Flacco is moving the ball. But I love to see a quarterback. It's different to see a quarterback get it to everybody. Everybody gets a touch. He really is scanning the field. That's interesting to me. But yeah, no, I wouldn't think about it twice. Even if DTR comes out of concussion protocol, give him another week to get situated. Now, I love the idea of kind of how New Orleans does, bringing in DTR almost as a package. I would love to see that. I wish Stefanski would do stuff like that. To me, I'd rather have a couple packages for DTR than a bunch of flip passes backwards and it's negative 10 yards. At least I'd rather throw in a couple QB option plays with DTR and just use his legs. But that's just me. But that's that perfect world. That would be, what I would want. But I'll throw it back to you. Are you a DTR or are you just let the old man sling it?
I mean, I look at it this way. I think if I watch DTR's full game against Pittsburgh and Flacco's full game last week, I think Flacco right now is the more prepared, ready to win quarterback.
Yeah.
Now I would do what you just said. I'd love to see DTR in some goal line situation and packages.
Yeah.
Some plays for him there. The only reason I say that is because I think some of the reason this team has had such success, in the red zone this year has been the mobility of Watson, and then with DTR has been a few times. I think you bring that, and that plays a factor in there but Flacco, when you get inside the red zone, it gets tighter because they don't have to respect, he's not going to run the ball. They know that.
And the thing is too, DTR can sling it, he's not just a, what's that guy in New Orleans? I can't think of his name right now. He don't have an arm though.
Taysom Hill.
Yeah, he don't have an arm though. DTR actually DTR can laser it in there, bro. He's fun to watch too. That's why it's tough. Now let me ask you this though, back to kind of my comment. Were you shocked a little bit yourself, or how did you expect? Let's be real. How did you expect Flacco to come out his first game? How did you expect him to play?
I thought he would be rusty. I thought he would throw high. At times he did throw a little high with some guys, but overall,
that's gonna happen.
Overall, he looked like sometimes you expect his footwork to be a little bad, and his footwork wasn't horrible. I thought overall, he blew me away how he looked versus how I thought he was going to look. I thought we were getting, Flacco, the D version of Joe Flacco. And I thought the defense we'd have a chance, but Flacco was a lot better. If not for Flacco, really, last week, we would have got blown out. It would have been a blowout. So, he blew me away how well he actually played. Given he'd only been there, he's only been in the less than 2 weeks. It wasn't even a full 2 weeks.
No, that's what I was saying. It was amazing to watch this guy. There was a couple times I was just he caught that. You were just watching it, just in shock because we haven't seen so many completions in a row like that, dude.
Yeah.
Oh, here we go, Jeff. Won't surprise me if Stefanski goes back to DTR. Interesting, but I want Flacco. Yeah, I think the fans definitely want Flacco. We've seen enough, but Jeff has a good point. Stefanski is Stefanski, man.
I agree with the fans on Twitter. Everyone thinks Stefanski is making some of these decisions for DTR. If the decision to go to DTR, this is not coming from Stefanski. I can tell you that. This is coming from dipshit and the president. What's his name?
Yeah.
It's got
Jimmy Haslam.
No, the guy DePodesta.
Oh.
This is coming from AB and DePodesta. This is where they overrule Stefanski if they go back to DTR versus rolling with Flacco this week. And also the problem is you got to figure out where is the locker room leaning? Like, what is the locker room leaning? If the locker room is clamoring for Joe, then you got to go with Joe. If the locker room, wants the kid to get back in there, then they're going to go that way sometimes. But I don't know. You're 7-5. You're trying to make the playoffs. I think Joe Flacco right now gives you your best bet. So
yeah,
DTR is just unknown.
Yeah, I think it was Drew in Brick City said if Flacco or play Flacco till we're not in playoff contention. I agree with that. I would hate to put that in that scenario, but like say we go like 0-3 the next 3 and we got 2 games left. Of course, give it to the kid. Like you know what I mean? Don't, no need to see any more Flacco. You know what I'm saying? Especially if we're losing games because of Flacco. So bring DTR in and see what the kid can do. But it's such a hard question though. You even say like, what does the team want? What does the team want? That's a tough call for being a teammate, don't you think? Like, what do you go with? They both did well before he went. Before DTR went out of concussion, he looked like Deshaun. In that last quarter he played before he got hurt. So it's been an interesting season for quarterback play for us. But you really can't complain. You know what I mean? Like besides 1 or 2 games with like a PJ Walker 4-pick game or something,
I will say this. When it was DTR's week to play, I didn't hear a lot of players saying like, this guy can sling it. This guy is making all the throws. He's doing all this. I heard it with Flacco last week from some of the veteran guys like Cooper and Njoku.
Yeah.
Njoku didn't even have any drops last week. Flacco throws he's got a heavy arm, but he throws a very catchable ball. There was times where DTR would just laser that thing in there, and I'm like, dude, they are 5 feet in front of you. You do not need to throw it that damn hard.
Yeah, Jeff makes a good point. DTR has more time to grow. He's thinking he's time to adjust to NFL speed. I agree. Like he's definitely a project, and that's why I think a lot of us fans are leaning on Flacco because we know we're going to get at least. You know what I mean?
The board wasn't listed on the injury on the depth chart released today, so we'll see what that means if things that work and come back.
Oh my God, we need him back. We need Miles to rest up, dude. Like I wish he would have taken last game off, man. Like that's not Garrett, man. That's not the Miles Garrett, dude. He was playing hurt. We know that.
Yeah, he's playing hurt. Playing with 1 arm probably or 1.5 arms.
Yeah.
The defense the last 2 weeks, and this is where Schwartz has to figure it out. We lost back-to-back games to Denver and the Rams. Both weeks, something that stood out on film was a lot of motioning by the offense and using the aggressiveness of this defense to get players in space where other players aren't. The Broncos used it a lot and kept running the ball. The Rams last week, were using a lot with Puka Nacua and stuff like that and had some big plays off that. They were utilizing basically the Browns' aggressiveness against them. And this is where Schwartz, has to make some adjustments and fix that. Because, Jacksonville this week's probably going to look at the same tape and try to do some of those things. Not every team can do the same stuff, but they'll definitely put wrinkles like that in there. And what are we? We're 7-5, right?
Yep.
I think we're 5-1 at home, 2-4 on the road so far this year. Team is vastly different playing at home versus playing on the road. So that plays a factor. What do you think the Browns, after watching the last 2 games against Denver and against the Rams, what do you think the Browns need to do better offensively overall for you?
I don't know. I guess, like I said, like even when DTR was playing, like I didn't think Stefanski mixed it up enough and like used his athletic ability as well. Like, yeah, he went like very pass heavy his last debut, but it's like I would really like to see some like QB options and just a lot, even a trick player to where DTR. I mean, dude, I watched that man in college tear it up, dude. He was literally hurling guys. Like, he has the ability to do it. He doesn't get enough opportunity. So that's kind of like, where I'd be with as far as offense. But O-line needs to start playing better to like establish a run game. I think that was the hardest thing to watch for me this past game, was just no ability to get anything going run wise. And it was just like, I think Brian mentioned it, Jerome Ford got like 10 yards or whatever. I mean, Jerome Ford's like a feast or famine back. And man, when he's famine. Like he doesn't get it going. I think like a lot of teams, like it's tough. Like sometimes you see Strong when you don't want to see Strong. Sometimes you see Hunt when you don't, or vice versa. But run game has to get going. It's vital. It's how we beat. It goes back to like the Steelers playoff win. Like it's how it's our Browns foundation now. Like and like that's what I saw, I guess, with the Rams game. Like it was fun to watch Flacco sling it, but it's like we're a ground and pound. Like that's what I guess hurt the most about the pick, not the decision necessarily. Just why were we even thinking of like a deep bomb there? Like just stick to the ground. That's they had the same situation they had in a couple games before. We had 7 minutes to go. You could have burned the whole clock and just dicked and dunked, ran the ball a little bit. So that's what I need to see, I guess, from their offense. But the main thing I need to see is both offense and defense on the same page, guys. Like, this was a horrible game to watch. It was just like they were literally – I even laughed. I was like, of course the offense does well this time, and the defense is the caboose. And I didn't think special teams did anything special either. So it was just like when you're in one out of three categories, that's usually what happens. But anyways, I'll throw it back to you. What offensive wise, needs to change?
I mean, we got to stop turning the ball over is one big thing. With this team this year is just turn the ball over way too much. Turnovers, penalties, and dropped balls. I think the last 2 weeks have been the biggest problem. Turnovers for sure, and penalties, like key penalties at times. I'd like to see us get Pierre Strong the ball a little more in the running game. I think this zone running scheme, he fits better. Like it fits his skill set more than it does Jerome Ford. Jerome Ford, I feel like, is always sometimes looking for the home run, and it's not always there. Sometimes you just got to take a 7-8 yard run if it's there. Take the 3-4 yards. Feel like he's waiting for that cutback or that other play where he can turn it back and for a big gain. I think he just sometimes doesn't take what's there. Kareem Hunt's just a dog. Like he's just gonna. Yeah, you need 3, he's gonna get you 3. You need 4, he's gonna get you 4. You need 5, he's gonna get you 4.
The issue with Hunt or Kareem, just sometimes Stefanski, he, like I said, when you want Reem in, he doesn't put him in. Then when you don't want Reem in, he gets like a negative 5 yard play. Like, why'd you do that? You know what I mean? Like Reem's, it's just sad. It's sad to watch sometimes, but I agree with you. Reem will give you 3 or 4 yards. He's just like a Nick Chubb. He'll give you 3-4 yards right off the rip, just off nothing, off no block. So,
I mean, this offense is not built to put up 40 points right now. I mean, we're on our fourth quarterback. We have offensive line injury issues. Our best weapon, Chubb, is out for the year. Cooper may not play this week. He left the game last week with a concussion. Other than that, I mean, Elijah Moore has been up and down. You have Tillman, who's a rookie. I mean,
and
Goodwin. And Njoku's had some key drops. I mean, they expected a lot out of Goodwin this year. He was the guy that they were going to be able to utilize and try to stretch the field with. He's been battling a concussion. I mean, injuries is just mounted for this team. I mean, I've been critical and on Stefanski a lot, but I can tell you one thing: like anyone that thinks this offense is capable of putting up 40 points, like you're lying to yourself. Like this is not an offense built for 40 points right now. This offense is built to maybe get 24, 27, and then the defense is going to have to play well. Like the reason we've lost the last 2 weeks is our defense has played below par. They haven't played good at all. They've been dominated. I mean, the Rams pretty much did what they wanted to last week. The Broncos did what they wanted to last week. There were some times we got some stops, but I mean, what do we need to do better defensively to fix that? What do you think, Coltrane, as a defensive guy?
Well, for me, it's the Myles Garrett stuff. That's just like my guy. Like, I love you, dude. I know you're going to play regardless, but it's like, I know we played a lot of snaps. Like, I would have at least just had him on like a snap count. Like, I think that would have, I guess, like that's what I would have dealt with his injury. Like the fact that I think he played like 93% of the snaps or something, it was something crazy like that where you were just like, all right, Swartz, like I get it. Like he's a dog, put him in. But it's like also too, like you can fight back a little bit and be like, all right, bro, you're on a snap count tonight. Like no doubt, just to save him a little bit. I'll tell you, I'm going to start name dropping, dude. You really want my opinion on the D? 2 off-season acquisitions I have not been impressed with thus far of this season. Juan Thornhill and Zadarius Smith. I mean, it's almost like every time Clowney or when Clowney was here, and then Zadarius, like they're advertised as like this big like two-person snake and stuff. Like I was talking to my wife about this the other day. Like I need a double-digit sack leader next to Myles. Like we don't have that still. Like I've watched Zadarius biff on like 3 or 4 sacks that just I know about, like that I remember, and it's just like he's not. I'll just be honest with you. Like at least right now, again, I hope he proves. I'm like you, Mikey. I hope he proves me wrong. But like as of right now, I'm just. It looks like that D line is a lot of Myles and little spurts of everyone else. Like the best time that I've seen that defense perform is when everybody's like collectively making plays. And these last 2, I don't know if it's just like a road thing. They don't like the road, like you were talking about. I mean, 2 and 4, but it's like they just play so different. They're like superhuman at home, but then when they're away, it's like they're human. You know what I mean? Like it's weird. Like that's kind of how I feel with this defense. But another guy too, Juan Thornhill. He's just too small for me. I didn't realize how small he was until a lot of matchups where like, I'm like, dang, dude, this guy's like a little Mighty Mouse. Like he's, obviously dive tackling people's legs and stuff. Like I'm hard on safety because like, I want to see some picks. Like I hate to say that, but I do. We've talked about this on the show, like, in past years. I like to see, 3 to 4 picks a season and stuff from like my safeties. Like I like to see them make big plays. And I just haven't seen Juan Thornhill make enough big plays for me to like be happy with the signing. Like they were 2, I would say definitely heavy money signings. And I expected a lot more for those 2. But anyways, to recap everything I just said, the D line has to, because that's what's been funny. I was even thinking about this the other day. If the D line gets going and consistently, the back end doesn't even really have to worry about. Like I know this from playing flag. Like if I'm having a good game, like my back end's just like, oh man, like I'll work a little bit, Coltrane. Like, they don't really have to do much if your D line's working. But lately, it's almost like the secondary's just been exposed, because the D line's not doing that. And I'm watching like, oh, like maybe you guys, and I know Denzel's out. I will say that. I know that. But the depth behind him, dude, I'll tell you another name. I'll name drop all day today. Was it Mike Ford? Is that who that is? Is it Mike Ford Jr. with the dreads? 20?
Yeah, Ford. He got benched Sunday.
Bro, thank God. I said to my wife, you can ask her, in the mid-first quarter, I said, honey, watch this number 20. Who is this guy? Why am I seeing this dude on my TV? I said, watch this dude. He's a liability. I've already seen him biff on 2 or 3 plays, and it's mid-first quarter. Watch him. Mm-hmm. And sure as shit, dude, anytime like a good play happened, this guy was just like nowhere near the football, bro. And then he dropped the pick. It was just like, dude, what's wrong with you? So, yes, for this game, if we want any chance of winning, D-line has to get going because clearly the back end needs that, even, especially even with Ward in, they need, if the D-line's not doing well, they don't do well either. So like it's a collective. They have to both do well Sunday. So, what about you?
I feel like the defensive line last couple of games has not been as dominant as they had been most of the year. I think they need to find their mojo or whatever they had, figure that out. And I think there's been a lot of guessing with all the motioning and the movement. Like I said, they're using that aggressiveness. They just got to figure that out. And once they do, they'll get that fire going back again. And I definitely think this defense needs Denzel Ward back. Like he is your lockdown guy. He makes everybody play better. He allows Newsome to move back to his more natural position, the slot. And Emerson's your other outside guy. You're going to have, and we got 5 games left. I look at this, we have 5 games left. You're only getting in the playoffs. You got to go 10-7 at least. You got to find a way to find 3 wins on your schedule. Next 5 games. You got 3 home games, 2 road games. We have Jacksonville, then we have Chicago, and then we're at Cincinnati, the Jets at home, and I think we're at Houston. So I look at it this way: if this team wants to be taken serious, you got to find 3 wins, and I see 3 wins on their schedule. I see 3 very winnable games. I think Jacksonville's a winnable game now, especially it looks like Trevor Lawrence may not play. He had a pretty gruesome ankle injury last night. They haven't said, the length and time how he's going to be out. You should be able to beat Chicago. You should be able to beat the Jets. Cincinnati is a winnable game. There's 4 winnable. I think Houston is just a better team than us right now. I think offensively they can do things we can't do. Defensively, they're not lights out. So you'll be able to move the ball on them some. And every team that Houston played, like every game Houston plays is like super close. Yeah. Like it comes down to the last play sometimes, even. So I don't know. We got 5 games to figure it out. That's all I know. Because you got to make the playoffs this year. Like I'm not saying you got to make an AFC championship run. I don't think that's something. But your goal right now is get to the playoffs and then see what happens.
I agree.
Brian actually brought up a good question. Is it just me, or does it seem like our team has more key players injuries than any NFL team every year? Could it be teams are sitting on Stefanski's menu plays? Well, I don't think it's that. I don't think it's the play calling that's getting the guys injured. I just think it's a rash of it's bad luck. It's just a rash of bad luck. The Browns don't have great luck. So if an injury is going to happen, it seems like it does happen to a key guy. And I think that's a big, people don't realize, like, look at the 49ers, for example. 49ers, would they lose like 3 straight games and they look pitiful for like a 3-game stretch, but they had a rash of injuries. Like they had a key left tackle out. Their running back was banged up. They had one of their best receivers was banged up. Like their defense had injuries all over the place. Like injuries is a difference maker for sure.
I mean, a difference maker so much that, when I watch this game, like my wife will tell you, once Cooper went out, dude, a little bit of my Browns soul left my body. Because, like, I don't know about you Browns fans at home or whatnot, but, like, this whole time, like, every time I watch Cooper play, I've talked about him highly on the show, like, last time we were on. It's like, every time I watch Cooper play, I'm just like, oh, but thank God we have an Amari Cooper. Oh, man, like, we're good, though. We got Amari. Like, he's good. Like, he's so clutch. And, like, I think the worst thing for me is, like, my last good memory of him is when he was in the end zone. DTR fired it in there, and he just, like, missed it. And it's like, I don't want to have that on my conscience, like, I know he's better than that. So it's like when he went down, because what is that? Like, I wouldn't have to tell him all up, but I believe that's about 6 basically potential Pro Bowlers. Am I wrong? Like 6 Pro Bowlers, at least 6 stars. I would say legitimate stars on the NFL or on our NFL roster. Usually people are missing like 2 to 3 stars. I mean, I got to agree to an extent with Brian on this to where, yeah, dude, it seems like a really, I'm not blaming Stefanski's but, it's a really, we have to admit, just as Browns it's been a really odd year for injuries and just very, very drastic injuries. But I will say this in the show proudly. I've never been an injury excuse guy. You know, these guys get paid millions of dollars in these coaching positions. I know some don't want to hear you at home, but they get paid plenty of money. It's next man up mentality. That's how it always, whether, you know, Barry's looking at the roster like that, whether Stefanski's coaching like that, it's next man up. So it's like, you have to, you know, like you just said, you have to make the playoffs, dude. Like, at least just make the playoffs. Like, I don't even care if we get kicked first round. I just want that on our, like, resume, you know, like, overall, like, all time. Because we could literally just talk about how crap the team was or roster-wise at the end of the season, and we still made the playoffs, you know, which is one of those crazy years. Then, you know, I'd rather take a year like that than, like, the year we go 10-6 and we missed the playoffs. I mean, it was just like, come on, dude. Like, you just mentioned it, Browns shit luck. But yeah, I'm with you, man. Out of these 5 games, I'm with you. I think I do agree. Houston's a 1-win team, or that's a one loss for sure. You know, Houston's just Stroud is Stroud. Would have loved to have seen Watson versus Stroud, but you know, we don't have Watson, so I'll give them that dub for sure. But the other 4 are very winnable. So, you know, I think we can do it, man. We just have to play smart football. And you mentioned it just earlier on the show. Stop giving the ball over, man. We cannot, and I'm sure they stress that all week, or they will this week. We just can't have it. We don't have, you know, like you just said, we're on like our 4th quarterback. You know, Cooper might be out. Ward hopefully is back in. We still got injuries on defense and offense. Like, you know, we need all the help we can get. But I will say this too: that Jacksonville game, especially if Lawrence is out, I mean, either way, it was a must-win. But like, you have to take advantage of gifts like that. Like, you know, knock on wood. I hope Lawrence is okay. But it's like, if he is out, you have to take advantage of, like, because then you might go to like a winnable Jets game, and this is laughable, but say you play the Jets game on prime time, all of a sudden their QB that they benched, you know, not once, but this would be like, you know, number 2 or number 3, Zach Wilson, like he, you know, he might have the game of his life against the Browns, and that's just the Browns. It's just like anything can happen. You have to win this game, especially against Jacksonville. Just stack a win right now, especially too how this is just funny. Ain't it funny, Mikey? You know, have you ever, as a Browns, had a season where you weren't like never? You never had a season where you're like watching like the standings, and you really needed 2 dubs, but you got 2 losses, so now you're right in the thick of everyone's tied up now. Like, don't you hate that? Why can't we be like the, you know, 9-2, you know, like the 1 or 2 loss teams at the top of the NFC, like the Eagles or something like that? Like, why can't that ever be us, dude? Like, it's so hard, man.
We can't be, because that even happened back in 2020 when last year we made the playoffs. But we're like facing the Jets, and you're like, oh, we're gonna lock the playoffs up this week, playing the Jets, and then all of a sudden, hey, guess what? One of your tight ends or your receivers tested positive for COVID, and they were all in the room together, so none of them are allowed to play.
Yep.
And then we lost to the Jets in an ugly, ugly game. But
yeah,
I look at it this way, as I say, you got to find 3 wins. I think 10-7 gets you in the playoffs. I mean, there's a lot of I think we're the 6th seed right now, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I don't get that. Everyone has a 6th. The NFL had a 7th. I'm so lost. But at the end of the day, we just have to win either way. But I'm just saying, did you notice that? NFL posted 7 seed, and then everyone else is at the 6th.
We'll go with, if we agree on it, we'll go with the thing. If we're split, then we'll go to the comments section. We'll run through the ESPN playoff machine for the Browns real quick and see how we feel like we're gonna finish. So heading into week 14, Jaguars at Browns. Who do you think wins that game?
Browns.
All right, I think the Browns win at home. Should be a win, right? All right. Colts at Bengals. Who wins that?
Ooh. Damn, the way Browning was playing, the Bengals.
Okay, I can see. I think Bengals too. Titans at Dolphins.
Let's do Dolphins. Yeah. Easy.
Texans at Jets. Texans should win that.
Yeah. Just do the easy breezes. No need to ask.
Yeah, Ravens will beat the Rams at home. Patriots at Steelers.
I got the Pats. I can't see Bill getting embarrassed. I can't see Bill continuously to get embarrassed like this. I think he takes that game. It takes advantage of a shitty Steelers, Mitch Trubisky, and they pounce on that dude, and New England gets a win out of that. But that's just me. I hope that happens.
I hope that happens. I don't know. So week 15 now. Browns. We play the Bears. We should beat the Bears.
Yeah. It's a win.
Steelers at Colts.
Let's do Colts. Trubisky's not good. I'm sorry, dude. They're going down.
I don't think he's good either, but he's not good at all. Ravens at Jaguars that week. Say Lawrence is still out.
No, he's not. I don't think Lawrence is out. I think he'll be out like maybe 1 week. Our game. That's it.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
The way Browning's playing, let's go Bungles, man. The way Browning's been playing.
I like it. All right. And I think that's the only tough game that week. All right. Ravens at Niners that week.
Niners, dude.
Niners going to take that. Colts at Falcons. I say Colts.
Yeah.
And then Jets at Browns. Browns get a W.
Yeah, in prime time. They play good, and it's at home. It's a home game.
Mm-hmm. And then let's see. Any other tough games? I don't think there's any other tough ones. Let's see. That's it. Yep. All right. And then final week, Steelers at Ravens. I got Ravens.
Yeah, easy.
Browns at Bengals.
Browns, man.
Okay, the Browns run that table. That's 11-6, and you're the 6th seed.
Who would they play?
You have the potential to get the 5th or 6th seed.
Yeah. Hey, let's talk this real quick, because I know I got a Bills listener tonight. If he's still listening, who's your 5, 6, and 7?
So overall, who I think will make the playoffs, I think the Bills have a really tough schedule the rest of the way. I was looking at their schedule actually. Let me pull it up again here. Buffalo had a bye. They had a bye this week. Yeah, because they still got to play Miami again one more time.
Well, I think they beat the Chiefs. I think they beat the Chiefs for sure. I think the way the Chiefs have been playing, dude. I think Josh Allen's due for a revenge game, or I know they hate the Chiefs, so I think so. What's their schedule? Give it to me. Give me their schedule.
They're at KC, so they're on the road at Kansas City. That's
All right, I'll give them a dub there.
Then they get Dallas at home.
I'll give him a dub, dude. I'm not a huge fan of Prescott.
Then they play the Chargers the next week. They'll beat the Chargers.
Yeah.
They play the Patriots at home. They'll beat them. I think they'll lose to the Dolphins. I think the Patriots. Yeah. I think the Bills probably go 3-2 their last 5 and finish at 9-8. Could be 10-7, but they're gonna need to steal that Chiefs or Dolphins game. One of those games.
And that's what I think it starts. The Bills season. I even had shout out David and my GM Mike. Both of them have said to me that you got to run through the Chiefs first, and then that's kind of how I believe too. It's like our run here is you have to beat Jacksonville. It's like you got to look at like a 5-week, 5-work week. You got to win week 1, to finish this race. Like you have to start off with a dub. and then everything else hopefully falls into place, like, as you go. But one game at a time, and you got to get that first dub. That's everything. So Chiefs keep a falling, though. Chiefs keep a falling. What's up with that? What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, they're just not. I think the Chiefs are still a good team, but they're not as explosive on offense as they've been in years past. They don't have anyone that takes the top that you're scared of. Man, the Chiefs' offense minus Tyreek Hill is so much more defendable than like Kelsey. Well, Kelsey was his security blanket. Hill was on another level, man, and he's been on another level in Miami. Like that guy, you can't teach speed, man. You can't teach it. Like, and that guy has it in spades, man. Like he is freaking fast. Like, and he makes plays, and he doesn't drop the ball.
Yeah,
like some of these quick guys, like they don't have good hands. He's got decent hands, but I don't know. It's going to be a tough stretch. I mean, I think realistically, like. I think Indy and Houston and Jacksonville are all fighting for that division and fighting for the playoffs. I think in our division, I think all 4 teams are going to still fight it out. I think in the AFC East, it's pretty much now just it's Bills and Dolphins. In the West, I think it's really just the Chiefs and the Broncos now. I think the Raiders are done, and I think the Chargers are done. So what's that? That's 4, 7. It's 11 teams fighting for 7 spots.
Pretty much.
Good news is if you can somehow beat the Texans, beat the Jags, you have the tiebreaker against all 3 of those teams in that division. If you can beat Cincinnati at the end of the year, you have the tiebreaker over Cincinnati.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And that's why, like, that Houston game, though, even though I still think, they can beat us, is vital, though. You don't want to, get under the gun with them either. You would like to have that tiebreaker with them, really, realistically.
Because, now you don't have the tiebreaker with the Broncos. You don't have the tiebreaker with we have the tiebreaker with the Colts.
I think the Broncos run is done, though, man. I think they're done. They don't make the playoffs. I'm sorry. They're going to fluff off now. That's what I think.
The problem for me is their schedule ends very, very weak. Like it is extremely weak. Like I was like, wow, they're 6-6. They finished with the Chargers, which is probably a win. I think the Chargers are just cooked.
Yeah.
They play the Lions. I think they'll lose that. Then they finish with the Patriots and the Chargers again. And then they finish with the Raiders. So they play. I think the Patriots and Chargers are cooked. So I think I see at least 3 wins on their schedule, if not 4.
Wow. Yeah.
Chargers. I don't understand the Chargers this year. Like
that coach might get fired. To be honest with you,
he should have been fired after the playoff game last year.
Yeah.
But it's going to be interesting these last 5 weeks. I mean, I think we're going to be scoreboard watching. What you want to do is you just want to go out and win all your games. You win all your games, you control your own destiny. You don't have to watch, but you lose a game here or there, you're going to start looking at the scoreboard. I mean,
I think the most frustrating thing too about that, what you just said, those scenarios, is Browns never seem to win when everyone else loses. Is that just me as a fan? Am I biased, or do you agree with that?
No, not with that. If we win, everybody else won.
Literally, bro. Literally, it's how it feels. Every week we win, you're happy. But then, like, all the games you watch the rest of the day or during the 1 o'clock, you're like, oh, what the hell? Like, we were up like 3-1 for the 4 games we needed. Now it's like 1-3. But then, it's like, come on, dude.
Yeah.
Very frustrating.
Good question.
Browns fan.
Good question from Jeff. Will Barry put more value on wide receivers next year? If this doesn't open his eyes up, then don't know what will, because we know there's a few positions he doesn't value at all. Yes. I think if they don't go into next offseason and look at the draft and look at this receiving core needs an overhaul and needs more speed, then I don't know what else to tell them, because they definitely need it, for sure.
Yeah.
You can't neglect it going into the offseason. Like, I don't know if you're going to get anybody in free agency, but I think you'll definitely target somebody in the draft, maybe with your second round pick, because we still don't have a first round pick next year, unfortunately.
Is this the final year for that? I think, right? The
last year of it.
Wow. Yeah, that's our future, man. But I think they can, land a speedster still with that pick, no doubt. But they have to do it, because Goodwin's just, dude, he's injury prone. He's older. He hasn't, dude. He's played. I mean, you mentioned him earlier on the show. I meant to add this to it. I've probably seen him play like a handful of snaps, really. Like, I know he's in there, but like as far as gets the opportunity to make a play, it's like 5 or 6 snaps. It's like, what? Like, a lot of these Band-Aid receivers we picked up, free agent wise, like I guess they are who they are. But nice to see Bell getting some action, Sunday. I don't know. I don't know why they don't play him more. Like he's never really dropped a pass for us. Like he's reliable. I don't know. I wish it's nice to see him getting more PT though. I would like to see him and Tillman grow, and then you can just add to that room, with those youngsters like playing well,
Mm-hmm. And it's always tough too, because like you want these guys to grow, but at the same time you don't want to take away reps from other guys too. It's always tough, but I know one thing: this receiving core needs a guy that can take the top off the defense. Like that's legitimately what it's missing right now is somebody that can do that.
Yeah,
we should call Miami and say, "Hey, aren't you tired of Tyreek Hill? Aren't you tired of him? Like, isn't he just? Don't you just want to trade him?"
I mean, wide receiver is huge, though. That's what I think is Kansas City's problem right now, which is wide receiver. So, good comment, Jeff. Wide receiver is a position, obviously, Kansas City took lightly. They thought they were good with what they had. They're clearly not. Mahomes needs a little bit better than just the Kelsey show. The receivers they have are kind of like ours, are just kind of mid-ish, like not really crazy. I mean, look at us. Like, behind Cooper, I mean, dude, Elijah Moore's like Njoku is so wishy-washy, like, I will say that too, and on that note is I'm so frustrated as a fan, dude, watching Njoku on these, when he's just on the bench and he's just got that look in his face, that look in his eyes. You're just like, I screamed at my TV. I was like, dude, I'm so sick of that look. I'm so sick of you sometimes. Like, I love you when you're doing angry runs and you're showing your athletic ability, but God, there's some weeks, man, I'm just like, dude, what's up with this dude? What's this guy doing out there, man? Like, even Cooper on one play, like he ran before, he caught the ball. It's just like, guys, like, I get it. We're trying to like make plays, but man, Njoku, he needs to really show out these next 5 games, because like the thing is, dude, when you have new QBs in there, like they rely on a big tight end that can just go up and catch the ball. Dude, they need that, like Njoku's literally, he's hot and cold, like every game it seems like, he has his good games, but then, man, when he's got some poopers, he's got some poopers, man. So I want to see more. I want to see better improvement from Njoku, and get this offense going, man. We're not going to go far, dude. It's very, dude. We're 7-5, but like I said, look at the stakes this week. There's so much at risk, bro. So much, dude. And I'm going to the game, dude. Like, you think I was bad? You think, I got news for you, the season ticket holders that I sit with. You think last time I was there was bad, where I was, almost had a friggin' heart attack? Imagine this game if it's like 17-14 or something going into like the fourth quarter. Like, oh, jeez. Like, God. I think you mentioned on the show here, every game since Watson went down is like a back and forth, like I don't judge them for that score of with the Rams at the end. Dude, we all know it was over when he missed the PAT. Like that, at the end of the day, like that was it. Like that was, in my opinion, the final score was like 19-20, because those other TD, I'm not saying I don't count them, but it's like, I don't know what we were doing, bro. I think Stefanski was just like hoping for, dude, at this point, he's throwing challenge flags like, F it, what else we got left? It's just like the players just looked like they were, I don't know, man. It just, I don't judge them too much for that, like extra 30 points they got in the fourth quarter, honest, dude.
Yeah,
What did the final score?
37-19.
Yeah, I don't count, all that stuff. But yeah, no, we need to be a different, and I've been going to the games live, so I've got confidence in these guys. I'm not going to be negative on the show, not yet. But yeah, it's kind of what Ken Carmen said at the best in his show on Monday morning. I'm concerned. I'm concerned. What about you, Mikey? How is your temperature? Oh, you're always an interesting fan to me, dude. What are you? I'm concerned. What are your thoughts?
Lots of concern for the rest of the year. A lot of teams have winning seasons when you play with 4 quarterbacks. That's all I can say. And injuries are real, and injuries happening to your star players. Eventually, some point you have to catch up with you. I'm just hoping that, like I said, that we can somehow find 3 wins out of these next 5 games. I don't think it's going to be easy. But I'm preparing myself for missing the playoffs. But secretly, I hope that we can squeeze it out. Like, I can sit here and honestly say a successful season at this point would just be making the playoffs. I don't care if you got boat race in that playoff game. Just making the playoffs with all the things that this team has been through this year, the injuries that have occurred. Some devastating injuries. It's not like you lost Chubb for a couple games. You lost Chubb for the season. You've lost Watson for the season. He missed games. Myles Garrett's banged up and playing on one arm. You got Ward's missed games now. It's like making the playoffs at this point this year, it would be defined as success. So we shall see. But we do need to land this plane. So as we like to finish all our shows, and we got the Barking Browns coming up right after us. It was a pleasure being back here with you tonight, Coltrane. We had the last week off, but glad to be back. Wish we were talking about some dubs. Any final thoughts before we close it out?
Like I said, boys, I'm going live. Coltrane will be there with all the fans. Got to get that place rocking, get there early, get there an hour early. Let's, I told you the last time we were there, me and my wife, it was one of the best games we've been to, and the defense is held strong. So just keep up that same energy, boys. Like, protect the house, protect the land, and come out of there with the dub, man, because this season is not over. Season's not over. All right, we got, like you just said, the destiny is still in the rear view, or not in the rear view, but it's in the, what do you call it, the main view. Mm-hmm. So season is still very much alive. Go Browns, still positive, guys. Don't worry, you guys didn't lose me yet. What about you, Mikey? Any final thoughts, man, about the Brownies?
I say you got the rest of your season's in front of you. Whatever you want is right in front of you. You go out, you make your plays, do your job, win the games you need to. The playoffs will happen for you. You just believe, have faith, stick with each other, be there for each other. It could be done. And I'll finish with that, and we'll close it out with a 1, 2, 3, go Browns on a count of 3. Join me in 1, 2, 3.
Go Browns. Peace out, Barking Browns.